Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. I know, I've been working and it's long hours, and after that I'm so exhausted I don't have time to make videos, and on weekends it's just been bad weather or I've just been tired and recovering from hectic weekdays. So life has been a bit tough. Getting back to work after 2 years of gallivanting around, I guess I wasn't used to. But also, this job is far more hectic than anything I've done in the past. It's just a different company and the way they operate. Anyhow, a few of you asked to give an update on the 911 since I've had it for now over 6 months. And yeah, I have to say, I'm extremely happy with it. So far, I've had no issues, touch wood, and it's what you expect from Porsche and a German car brand to just work. Unlike the Ferrari, which was a pain in the backside all the time, this is fantastic. There's like small niggly bits with the PCM that they haven't been able to fix. So for example, my app on my phone, the Porsche app, shows trip information that's completely incorrect. It misses several trips. It is never up to date. It's a couple of weeks, sometimes a month behind. Randomly, whenever it feels like updating, it will update the app. On the PCM itself, everything is fine, but when I go to my app, it doesn't work. And I don't understand, because it's exactly the same functionality that the RS4 had. So Porsche are part of the Volkswagen Audi group. They should just pick that technology and implement it here. I don't know why they have to go build something new that doesn't work, because they're a car company, not a tech company. Anyhow, so many people have had other problems with the PCM. I'm lucky that I've had no other issues. And a small car with a big exhaust was farting back there. So yeah, it's a convertible, it's a four-wheel drive, it's fast. I've been to many car events with it, especially the Drivers Union Club that I'm a member of. Every month they have, actually sometimes twice a month, they have drives around the countryside where about 10-15 of us get together and go to nice little country roads and drive around and have breakfast and lunch, or just do a catch up with other car enthusiasts. It's really good. I've made quite a few videos, but I haven't had time to edit them from those events. But I thought I should do one to talk about the car. I mean, it's just, I'm now using this as my daily driver. I only have one car and it does everything. I go to the supermarket, I take my dog everywhere, I go see my friends, drive around town. I haven't done any massive shopping trips where you have to carry big stuff, but I usually have everything delivered anyway. So I don't know why you would buy a car that you need once a year to carry something big from IKEA or one of the other furniture stores that people keep talking about. It's like, why would you? If you can have stuff delivered, why would you go and put it in your car and ruin it? So what I'm going to try to do is think of the negative things about this car, because that is going to be hard. There's so many positives, I can keep going on and on about them. Let me see. Okay, so all the 911s I've had, hard top and soft top, all models, don't know why, they have this kind of strange squeaky noise that comes from the far left hand side. And I can't seem to pinpoint where it comes from, but when you go over bumps and it's a bumpy road, you can hear that. It was in my 911 GTS, it was in my 997, 996. I've had, I think, a few 997s and a few 991.1s, and all of them had the same thing. So there is a panel somewhere in the far left at the back that has a manufacturing fault that's not fitted properly, because you can hear the sound of a panel that is supposed to be locked in with those clips, that the clips squeak. Power delivery wise, I think a 3-liter engine is probably doesn't have any low-end torque before the turbos kick in, so there is that. It's not a turbo lag as such, but it's when you start the car, if you're driving off slowly, it's fine, but if you are in that medium driving position where you're not going too fast but you want to accelerate, there's like a little bit of a hesitation, and then it goes. If you slam on your accelerator, then there is no lag, it just goes boom. If you drive it in sport mode, then you don't have that. So I think it's to do with where the turbo kicks in and where the torque comes in. So there is probably a big difference between the torque and the no torque positions of the revs. I think in the Ferrari they reduce the torque and it comes a bit later, so you have that linear delivery. In this car there is a considerable gap between no torque and turbo torque, so it just hits you and then it goes very fast. What else can I think of? Air conditioning, very good, no problems. Oh yes, I now know. So on the display in some cars, the camera on the front of the car reads the sign, the speed limit sign on the road, and displays it on the dashboard. In my car it only shows on the nav system, and when it went back for service I told them about the trip counter issue. I've raised it with Porsche Germany through the Porsche head office in the UK. Nothing. 20 emails back and forth between us and them, and nothing happened. But these guys looked at it and they said, no, we can't do anything because it's a different model. So this is like on the cutoff point where after this the next model has that, but surely it's a software thing that they could just update the software to show you the speed limit and the display. But obviously it's a new feature in the new models, so they're reluctant to do it. The other thing that I find annoying is that the Apple CarPlay in my car doesn't work wirelessly, it only works with a cable. Again, sit down. Again, I asked the dealership when it went in for a service to say, can you do something about it? And they were like, no, it's the model, and obviously maybe there is some hardware missing, but I have a feeling that it's just a software thing, and Porsche are not doing this upgrade on the older cars because then they have a feature that is available in the new cars that's not in the old cars. So when Apple release a new software version of their operating system, they allow you to install it on old devices, and people are still interested in buying the new devices, but the old ones get all the features as well. So I don't know why these guys are not doing it, because Porsche are now talking about the new PCM version 6, which will have all these new features, and I bet they won't provide an update for the older cars, even though some of the features are software related and they could be added to the old cars. So thought about one more negative thing, and I guess it's not anything to do with this car, it's just that I have black interior and it's a convertible, so when you have the roof down and if there's pollen or dirt, obviously everything comes into the car, and then even if you wash the car the same day, it looks really dirty and messy inside, and you have to keep cleaning. I had to buy these big brushes to clean the dashboard, like a paintbrush, because otherwise it just gets dusty everywhere. But that's just down to the fact that it's a convertible and nothing to do with Porsche. On that note, since it's not raining, let's do this. I have very bad allergies, so that's another problem. When I open the roof and if a little bit of pollen gets into my eyes, I'm done for the day. There was a time when I was thinking, oh, I'm going to place an order for a GTS. I actually spoke to my favorite dealer and asked if I could place an order, but one, that it was a very long waiting list, but also when I looked at the specs, I was like, no, I'm really happy with what I have, especially the center locking wheels. People like them because they look beautiful, but they're an absolute nightmare. When I had the 911 GTS, the 991.1, whenever I went around Europe to various countries, if I had to have the wheels balanced or if I had to have a puncture repaired or anything to do with tires, I had to call maybe 10 to 15 different places. Now imagine doing that when you're on a motorway and you have an issue that you want to have fixed, but no one has the torque wrench to open and tighten the center locking wheels. It was an absolute nightmare. Even in London, where so many people have these cars, there's one in Chelsea and one in Fulham who do this, and both of them share the same torque wrench, so you have to call them in advance, book your car, so then they send the torque wrench from one shop to the other. And I think I've talked about this in one of my previous videos. I even considered buying one, but it's such a big thing. You can't carry it with you if you're traveling around. So in future, if I ever buy a car that has a center locking wheel, I will choose an option of standard wheels. The only thing that I think I miss in this car are ceramic brakes, because the Aston and the Ferrari, I got used to those brakes where you just touch it and the car comes to a complete stop. And this one you have to make an effort, and obviously the braking distance is longer, so when it actually does bite and stop, the wheels sometimes skid. So I don't know if it's possible, but I might, when the time comes to replace the brakes and discs, I might just pay extra and have the ceramic ones put in, because then the car has everything that I want. And that's the thing, if you have a car that ticks all your boxes and you're happy with this, then what's the point of changing for the sake of changing? And also in the last 5-6 years, maybe more, I've changed so many cars and I've come to realize it's just stupidity, and I've wasted so much money and lost so much money on doing this. It's rather pointless. The exhaust sound in this car is a bit of a letdown, but then I think in a way I don't mind it, because I'm one of those people who doesn't like to draw attention, and I'd rather drive around in a car that people don't turn their heads and look at, because I don't want attention. So not having a loud car is a good thing, and you can press this button and you can hear the exhaust note has changed, but honestly it's not that loud that people would notice it, so it's fine. Out of the thousands of nice things this car has to offer is the ability to open and close the roof up to 30-35 miles an hour, which is fantastic, because when you live in London or generally in the UK, it could be snowing, sunny and raining on the same day. So it's a nightmare when you have to stop and close the roof. And that was very inconvenient in the Ferrari. Almost sounds like I'm driving an electric car. So quiet. Starting the Aston or the Ferrari in the morning, especially on weekends, I used to feel really guilty because of my neighbors. With this car, it doesn't make much noise, so it's a good thing. There's one technical thing I think that Ferrari have done better than Porsche, and that's just one technical element, and that is when you disable the auto stop start in the Ferrari, it remembers it. So every time you start the car, it will retain the last setting, whereas in Porsche, every time you start the car, it goes back to 0, and you have to wait for the PCM to properly boot up before you can disable that feature. In the past, there was a button here that you could press to disable it, but they've removed that button and it's all in the screen. And I think that because it takes so long to boot the system on the PCM, people who have the garage door opener must have a nightmare, because obviously if you're sitting in your garage and you started the car, you can't open it until it's properly booted up, or you have to switch on the engine, like the ignition, and not switch on the engine, and then wait for it to get everything in order before you can press it, which is quite annoying. I wish they would just allow it to remember the last setting, or integrate this into the seat memory settings. But like now, I'm driving around with the top down and it's so quiet that I can comfortably make my video and talk. In the Ferrari, I would have to scream and speak very loudly. Also, the microphone that's built into the car for the phone calls, it's so good that when you're making a call, and that was the same in the 991 that I had, people can't tell that I'm on a hands-free kit. They think it's just a normal phone call. Right, just a quick outside view of the car. I had it washed yesterday and then I polished it myself with my own hands, and I felt pretty good. I put Swiss wax and then followed it up with ceramic wax, so I hope it will stay like this for a bit. What you might notice, I changed the front number plate to a much smaller one because the bumper on this car has a very strange lip, this thing here, so when you have a number plate, it really was sticking out and looked really ugly, so I put this one. Even after 2 years of filming, I'm still not used to the idea of filming on the street, because people look at you like you're some weirdo creep. One of the few very good things that they have done is removing from here, there used to be a headlight washer thing, which they've removed. That's really good, because it used to just mess up the car and make it look really dirty, because it would just spray water all over a messy, dirty, dusty car, and you'd have marks everywhere, which you don't need. So now it's good. As you can see in the back, it's a complete dog bed, because that's his space.